What's happening, people? Again, another episode of Let the Punk Talk, and I'm joined by Carl from Boxing Royalty once again. Today, we're just going to talk about the Chris Eubank card and the undercard. So, what fight do you want to start on, Carl?
I reckon we start with the ladies. Maybe Caroline Dubois. What do you think about her last night?
Yeah, she looked. It was a good debut. Obviously, the woman she was in with had only ever been stopped once, so she obviously a very tough woman. Been around the block. She had nearly like 30, 40 fights. So it was a good test fight for her. I think she did well for a debut on a big show like that. I think she lacks from what I saw. Like it looks like she lacks power a little bit, but yeah, it looks like she have a promising future, I think.
She moves well, doesn't she? She had very good movement. She got to her very easily. I know the lady was obviously a journey woman, but I think she got to her quite easily, and I think she could go quite quickly. What weight was she? What did she fight at?
Lightweight.
Lightweight. What is it with lightweights? They're like the best movers, aren't they, in boxing? Lomachenko, he's a lightweight. What other? Who's a lightweight? Weren't Katie Taylor lightweight?
Yeah, she still isn't. She was super lightweight now. I think she's lightweight.
And I don't know what she is at the minute, but I know she was, and whether she's moved, I don't know. But yeah, I like the look of her, mate. I thought, like you said, she lacks a bit of power, but I think she, as far as debuts go, living, especially with her brother as well, and she's very big in the amateurs. I mean, I backed her to win the Olympics, I think, but she lost in the final, yeah.
Yeah.
But like she said afterwards, first fight without a head guard, first fight without a vest. Although I don't know what wearing a vest, what difference.
Yeah.
But so who said Shane McGuigan was like fighting without a vest, and I was like. Okay. The head guard you can understand, but let's talk, mate. We've got to talk about it. Claressa Shields, how impressed was you, if you was?
Yeah, like she's all right. Like, I mean, I still think Savannah Marshall absolutely destroys her, but I mean, it's kind of hard with like women's boxing sometimes because you get the ones that are just really good, and then you just seem to get the other ones that just ain't really good. Do you know what I mean? So like you can be kind of average, an average boxer in a women's division, but be world class, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like obviously Claressa Shields is amazing. She's beaten it like, the who's who in the women's division. She's beaten everyone, taken a lot of O's, so on and so forth, and done it all in 12 fights. But then again, you can say the same for Savannah. I don't think she's really had the obviously. She hasn't been in with the high opposition as Shields has, but I just really think that she's the real quote, as they say.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, I've never watched Claressa Shields fight. I've seen highlights. They show like knockouts and whatnot, and she did look a beast. But I don't know whether it's because she knew that Savannah was ringside. But I do think that the ref could have stopped it a couple of times. There was one point she took 17 punches unanswered. That really? Rizzo, whatever her name was. But yeah. She, I don't know, like even the ring walk, like move, bitch, get out of the way. I get like that's her character. And again, it's Americans. But I wasn't impressed. Like I said to you during the fight, I said, I think Savannah Marshall gets rid of her in 4 rounds. And I just think it's because she picks her shot so well. She would just pick her apart. Like Claressa, she obviously carries power. But I just think with Savannah, she would just take her time with her. A lot like Fury, like we said, she would just keep away and then move in. And when she moves in, she'll catch her. But yeah, I think I liked what Savannah Marshall said to her, like Claressa giving her the respect when she walks around like spudding her. And then they asked Claressa for her thoughts on Savannah. Here comes the accent of the week. And then Savannah went, if you fight like that against me, I'll wipe the floor with you. And I loved it. I think she's brilliant for women's boxing. That's exactly what you need to be like, not give a shit and just say it as it is. And yeah, I think she does batter her.
Yeah, I think she does as well.
Let's just go for it then, mate. You're a fan of Eubank. You said you think he's a G. So you think he portrayed himself well last night?
That fight was a kind of a funny one. Like it was a good, entertaining fight. But there was loads of things like I just thought Eubank started so well, and but then after about the 4th round, he just like really took his foot off the gas and just all become about showboating and so on. and like he really actually let Williams right back into the fight. Like I think it was from round like 6 to 10. Like Williams took every single round. Some of them were close. You could have made an argument, but there was one stage when he did definitely win like 4 rounds in a row, and it was just because he took his foot off the gas. But at the same time, when you've won the first 4 rounds and scored 3 knockdowns in 3 different rounds, you are 8 rounds up technically, because you score a knockdown, it counts as 7 rounds, so it counts as basically 2 rounds. And so I can see why he took his foot off the gas, because he felt so comfortable with his lead already. And for Williams to win, he would have literally near enough had to have won every single round, and it did take him a while to get actually going. So yeah, like I was impressed, very impressed early on with Eubank, but then towards the mid rounds, I was a bit like, oh, he's really just kind of walking through it and dawdling along, doing a bit of too much showboating at times, allowing Williams to get back in, and then the last like 30 seconds of the fight was just so bizarre, because Williams, knowing that he needs to knock Eubank out to win the fight with only 3 minutes to do it, and he hasn't really troubled Eubank the entire fight. And in the last 30 seconds, when Eubank's sitting there dancing around, Liam Williams is looking at the ref like that, just like, what are you doing? It's almost like you've accepted it and quit there and then. Just looking, what's the ref meant to do? What, the ref not to knock him out for you? Like, you've got to go and give it everything you've got. Like, it's 30 seconds left or you're going to lose. And he just sat there with his hands on his hip, accepting the loss. So that was complete and utter madness for me. But yeah, I think Eubank did do well, and he clearly done what he needed to do to win. But I think if he would have just kept it going from the 4 rounds like he was doing, he probably would have actually got Williams out of there, because them jabs clearly hurt him, because when he got up, he wasn't fully all there. And I think it was the second round, the knockdown was quite big. It was like uppercut, left hook that really hurt him. So he could have got him out of there if he wanted to, but he took his foot right off the gas.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, going back to what you said about Eubank, for the first 5 rounds, he looked world class. Like, I'm not a Eubank fan, but, I was speaking to you and I said, like, mate, this ain't good. Like, and I said the same to Mitchell. I was like, this ain't good. Like, the first knockdown weren't huge, but it was such a sharp jab. Williams dominated that first round, and then out of nowhere, whack, straight down the middle. And it weren't a heavy knockdown, but like you said, Williams was dazed. I thought, this is over. Like, there's still 30 seconds left in the round. And then I said earlier about it, like, I don't get it with Eubank, because it was the same as Marcus Morrison. He had Marcus Morrison out of there 2 or 3 times in that fight, and he just stopped. Now, is that Roy Jones saying, I don't want you to go out knocking people out, I want you to prove you can box? Or is it Eubank being arrogant? Because, Eubank sounded like a prick afterwards, when he was talking to Sky Sports, how I could have knocked him out. Well, fucking do it then, mate. What does every boxer say? You don't get paid for overtime. So why are you going to want it? I wanted to inflict pain on him. Well, you didn't, because you didn't really land much on him for the last 5 rounds. That might be controversial in itself, but he didn't. Like we said, I had it 7-5 in rounds, but I had it 6-all up until that last knockdown, which was a push. But like you said, them 3 knockdowns early on put him 6-0 down effectively in rounds, or 7 down in rounds. So I don't get why he stepped off. I can't stand him more than I didn't before, because I just think, like you said, in the last round, and again, why did Williams stand back? He literally put his hands on his hips and just looked at the ref. And I thought the ref is looking at Eubank going, come on, fight. But even throughout the fight, mate, you could see Eubank kept going like that and looking at his feet and going, step at me. Because if you step at me, I'm going to lay you out. So my next question for you is, why, we watching it, we can see that he's getting caught every single time. When he comes in, he's catching Williams. Surely Booth can see that in the corner. So why is Adam Booth, after the 3rd knockdown, not gone, right, you've been knocked down 3 times, coming in with a hook and 2 jabs. We need to change this up. Even as simple as, I might sound silly here, because obviously I don't box, but even something as simple, double up on everything. Double up when you move in on him. Do you know what I mean? Feint. Whatever you need to do. Why is what what's your do you have any idea why that's not been changed, or do you just think it's arrogancy to this is our plan, we've worked on it for 12 weeks?
Could be a bit of both, mate. I don't really know. Like sometimes, like I actually really like listening in and hearing what the corner has to say. But they do all these like stupid adverts now, like sponsorships and all that. So you can never really hear what's going on in the corner. So, you know, for all we know, maybe Booth did say something like that. Maybe he didn't. But yeah, it is a weird one. Like he just kept coming in the same kind of game plan and getting knocked down the whole time. But he must have made some adjustments because he did come on strong later on. But yeah, it's a bit of a funny one.
It's the same as like you said there in that last round. Williams should have just gone hell for leather. I've lost the fight. I get knocked out or I knock him out. In my mind, that's what you think. You know what I mean? You're in there to win. So you just throw and you throw and you throw. Even if it means getting disqualified, you're losing the fight regardless. But even Adam Booth's advice to him then was, you need to throw. What did we say? Up and down like a mother. You need to win this, but knock out. But then he says, but be careful when you go in. Why? Like I get you've got his best interests at heart, but surely you're just saying, get in there, mate. Throw everything you can. You've got 3 minutes to win this fight, and the only way you're going to win this fight is if he's laying down on his back. Do you know what I mean? Like, go on, mate.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. Yeah, I think that was the instructions. Like, was to just go in and throw hell for leather. But I think at the same time, it's like, you know, be careful because you've come in and been dropped and almost stopped like 3 to 4 times now. So I think that was the instructions, was to go in and throw hell for leather. But just when you're coming in, obviously be smart about coming in and not just go in head first. I think that was what he was trying to tell him.
I suppose it does make sense in a way. What about, so obviously you said before, you know, you sometimes you have to fight dirty. You can fight dirty yourself. Just how dirty do you think Williams was last night?
Yeah, I don't think he was extremely dirty, but I think he did what he needed to do. He needed to make it dirty, like getting him in the headlocks. And I would imagine when he had him in the headlock, he was squeezing, and that obviously stops oxygen going to your brain. It tires you out. You know, just getting in, throwing the glove in his face, like taking him off his rhythm. That's what I think he needed to do. And like Eubank complaining to the ref, mate, I've said this before. I've made this so public so many times. You know, I don't understand when boxers do that, because at the end of the day, it's a fucking fight, and that's what happens in a fucking fight. Like the amount of times I've been headbutted and elbowed and shit in fights, I've never once ever complained to the ref, because in my opinion, it just shows weakness. The ref can see it, and when it happens, the ref's going to tell him off, whether I complain or not. So I don't really get it. I just think it shows weakness, and it shows that you're letting the man get to you and you're letting the man take off your game plan. So it's just fucking, man. It's just a fight at the end of the day, innit? And that's what's going to happen in a fight.
I agree. If you are complaining to the ref, you'll know you're either struggling in the fight, you're behind in the fight, or whatever it is. But I don't know if you see, but Eubank admitted to biting Williams. Did you see that interview? Yeah. So I don't know what round it was. Obviously, he said he was choking him a lot. So when he had him on the ropes, he was like, he had his arm around his neck and he was holding him down and squeezing him. And he said, I keep saying to the ref, and the ref isn't doing anything. Like you said, if the ref sees it, he's going to say something. If he doesn't see it and you say, oh, mate, he's just bit me, well, I didn't see it, mate, so I can't penalise and say I didn't see. But he said, I think it was mid-round, 7th round, he said he had him in the ropes, and he said he had his glove across Eubank's mouth. So he had his arm around his neck, but he had his, like, the thumb part of the glove across his mouth. Yeah. And Eubank said, I just fucking bit his arm. He said, it's the only way I could get him on. And he openly, honestly, go on Boxing Social, done one with him, and also the main one they do with Sky. And he said, yeah, I bit Liam Williams in the fight.
That's mad.
Maybe I take the win off him now after all that Williams done to him in the ring. But one thing about Williams is he's known to be a hothead, isn't he? You know, he loves a scrap. Don't matter if you're his best mate or not. If you're in the ring with him, he's going to call you a prick. That's his word that he loves. Yours is dick, his is prick. Yeah. So, did you see after like the 4th round when Williams started getting to him? Which, by the way, I do think Williams should have done at the start. He should have just tried getting under his skin from the 1st round. He should have just walked in that 1st round and just been winding him up. Not even boxing for a couple of rounds. Just grab onto him, give him a little dig in the ribs with his elbow and whatnot. But that's what I think changed the fight. I think that he wound Eubank up I think that the tactics he was using, the holding, the gripping, pushing him down, back of the head punches, I think it wound Eubank up, because you could hear Roy Jones saying, don't play with it, don't play with it. And when he did get to him, that's when I feel the fight changed. Dillian White did it against Joshua. Do you remember when they fought? He hit him at the end of the round and it all kicked off. And then for the next 2 rounds, Joshua was rubbish, and then he stopped him. So that could have happened. But I like you say, if you're a dirty fighter, you're a dirty fighter. It's tactics. Some people don't like it. Some people do. Just get on with it. If the ref sees it, he'll stop it. He ain't going to kill you. He ain't going to pick your head up and headbutt you in the middle of the ring for everyone to see. Yeah. You're going to get clinches where you're going to get strangled, and you're going to get back of the head punches. So when you so say you just said there you've been headbutted in the ring, was that like a clash of heads, or was that a fighter literally leaning in and
clash of heads? Yeah, I don't think I've been in fights where I've been, again, I think they've all been accidental. I've been in fights where I've been elbowed and been cut above my eyebrows and stuff, and you just get on with it, man. It's a man's sport, so you just got to act like a man when these things happen. Like, as I said, I've been elbowed, I've been headbutted, I've been low blowed. I don't think any of them have ever been intentional, but that's the sport you're in, and shit like that's gonna happen. And when it happens, you got to deal with it, because as you said, if someone is doing it intentionally, they're doing it to throw you off your game. So you've got you've got to be cool, calm, and collected when these things happen to you. That's why I've never complained. I've never looked at the ref. I've never looked at him for help or anything, because at the end of the day, he's not there to help me. So you got to help yourself and just stay calm, calm, and collected, and do what you can in the ring.
Do you cut easily, or are you, because you weren't cut at all in your last fight, but then I don't think he landed many on you in the last fight, did he? But are you one that you got tough skin, or are you?
Yeah, I think I have. I've been cut 3 times in my whole career. Never, only once ever by a punch, and that was in sparring. I got cut by an elbow as an amateur, then a headbutt as a pro, and then in sparring once as a pro by a punch. So over, I think it's like 8 years of boxing in total, or 9. I've only ever been cut 3 times, and only once by a punch. So I'd like to think my skin's quite tough.
So if you can remember that fight you said about where you got cut as a pro, was that early on in the fight or late on?
It was only a 4-rounder. I think it was at the end of the 3rd round, so there's only 1 round left. So it wasn't really that much of a big deal.
So when you walk back, obviously you can feel you've been cut in the ring, and when you get back in your corner, is the first thing you say to your trainer, how bad is it, or is it just don't think about it, they're going to deal with it, I need to concentrate?
Yeah, I never asked. I just let them deal with it. Like, I don't think it was that bad, to be honest, anyway. But yeah, like if it's bad, they'll tell me, and if it's not too bad, they'll just be like, it's nothing to worry about, just get on there. So yeah, I try not to think about it, really.
No, that's cool. Another one of the interviews I watched after the fight was with Carl Froch, Johnny Nelson, and George Groves. Now, so we know George Groves and Eubank don't get along. Obviously, they fought a few years back. Groves schooled him, and Groves was past his best, I think, as well. But they weren't happy. Carl Froch did like literally a minute, and he was just like, I don't want to be seeing that in a ring. It's not the right way to be in a ring type thing. If you're going to knock someone out, do it. Don't sit on a camera afterwards and say I could have knocked him out, because you just make yourself look silly. Johnny Nelson said the same sort of thing, and Groves just, again, same sort of lines. How can he stand there and say he could have finished it when he didn't? Are you agreeing with that? Obviously, the dancing and stuff at the end we spoke about, but what about like the interview he's given? I know you see it. What's your thoughts on what he said?
I'm like 50-50 with it, because I do kind of agree that he could have stopped him if he put it on him, as we said before. But I feel like he knew he had a big lead, and he took his foot off the gas, because he kind of already knew he had won the fight after the 4th round, which, if you watch the fight, it is pretty clear to see that after the 4th, 5th round, he wasn't, delivering the same kind of venom in his shots. He was dancing. He was kind of enjoying it almost too much, to an extent. So I kind of agree that he could have finished him if he wanted to, because he had him badly hurt a couple times early on. But at the same time, like, Eubank does kind of strike me as one of them characters that when he smells blood, he will take someone out like that. But I don't know. It was a weird one, as I said from the start. It was weird. But again, like people like Froch, Groves, and sometimes Johnny Nelson, like if they don't like someone, they kind of really give them a hard time. And I feel like sometimes people have really given Eubank a hard time. Like one interview that everyone finds so funny, but I just think, like, oh, he's just being a fucking absolute prick. Is when Eubank and Groves fought, and Nassim Hamid's there like, oh, you can either box or you can't, and not clearly Eubank can't box. Like, what do you mean Eubank can't box? Like, he's won the British, he's won so many prestigious titles and beaten like so many big names. Granted, a lot of them were past their prime, but they're still good wins. So, and he's fought at world level, come up short, okay, yeah, but he's still fought at world level, like. So what do you mean he can't box? Like, he can clearly box. It's just you being a bit of prick. Like, you don't like the Eubank, so you're just being extremely harsh. Like, if I was to give, like, I mean, I think he's come on quite a lot, but like, if I was to give it like analysis of Eubank, it would be, I think he's just below world level. So he's clearly a really good fighter, but he's just below world level. So if that means you can't box, what does that make everyone else that's won just only a Southern area or in English? Like, he's just chatting out his fucking ass. And I just feel like that was the same there. They're just being extremely, even like, as I said, that it was a weird one. He took his foot off the gas. He should have stepped up, should have finished it, should have put it to bed. But I just think them three are just going to be like extremely harsh because they obviously just don't like him, and they just don't like his dad as well. So they're just going to be extremely harsh on it. So sometimes when these people talk, you just take it with a pinch of salt. And at the end of the day, like, Carl Froch is a known prick anyway. Loads of people don't like him. So who cares what Carl Froch has to say? But having said that, I was actually a massive, massive Carl Froch fan until I met him. And then I realised...
I was just about to say the same. I've always been a Carl Froch fan, but try and find me an interview where he praises a boxer. Because he doesn't. He always slags off AJ. The only person he actually speaks positively about is Derek Chisora. But I know what you mean. Like I've said to you before, I used to love Eubank. Like I said, I watched his first fight. The first fight I remember him fighting in, was when he fought that guy Nick Blackwell. Do you remember that? For the British title, and he put him in hospital. Well, he retired him, didn't he? And I thought then, like, wow, this guy is going to be like incredible. And then I always when I used to have Snapchat, I used to have him on Snapchat, like, because he had like a public account thing, which he put his gym things on. Spike O'Sullivan, what he done there. And this was, like we said, about no trainer. He did it all himself, you know. And I can understand why he is a prick, because like it's because people don't like his dad and he carries that name. If he was called like Harlem Eubank, don't get it. Do you know what I mean? So if he was called George Eubank, he probably wouldn't get half the shit he gets. But because he's called Chris and he does the dive into the ring like his dad did. But then again, as well, I can understand why he did what he did last night, because he's walked and that showed balls taking that fight in Cardiff. Like to go to Cardiff. I know he was still the home fighter on the card, but he's got, 10,000 Welsh fans calling him. He said, like, when he come into the ring, they were throwing drinks at him on his ring walk. He said when he was in the ring, they were throwing stuff at him. He said when he got out the ring, he said, I can't even repeat what was said to me when I walked back to my changing room.
Really?
Yeah, he said, like, so that's why I acted like, he said, I would never have danced like that in the ring in the last round if I wasn't treated like, he said, if you're a boxing fan, you shouldn't act like that towards a boxer. When they've had their 12 rounds, say what you want before the fight, do what you want during the fight. But once the fighting's done, he said, it's a gentleman's sport, you should act. He said, but the reason I played up is because of how they treated me before, during, and after. So I can understand it. And I do think, like, now, like, yeah, he is below world level, but I think he deserves that shot. And I think he should leave his dad out of the negotiations and just say to Wasserman, get me the GGG fight. Him or Murata he called, didn't he?
I think, like, from what it seems to me, since he's joined Jones, his dad seems to have taken like a big backward step. That's what it looks like to me. Like, I don't really see his dad during the weigh-ins dancing no more. I don't see his dad ever getting interviewed by anyone. I don't really see his dad like in clips of them when they're training. So it does look like his dad's taken quite a big backward step. And I saw today again the Billy Joe Saunders fight has been talked about, and obviously another fight is obviously Golovkin. He's calling out Golovkin. Do you know what, mate? I actually think he beats both of them now. I just think the reason why is I think Billy Joe's got to that stage in his career now where he's made his money, he's won his titles, and I just don't think that Billy Joe has that same love for boxing that he did. And I said the same thing when Conor McGregor fought Mayweather. And I thought, I mean, obviously, to be honest, I was a massive, like, I was all Conor. I genuinely thought Conor was going to do it Mayweather, but like at the end of the fight, you could see him in his changing room. He was smiling, he was happy. He had just had his kid. You know, he had done everything in the UFC, come over to boxing, fought one of the greatest of all time. And as soon as I saw him in the change room, I said, I hope that Conor McGregor never, ever, ever fights again, because he'd never be the same. And that is, I'm pretty sure, and that is where Billy Joe's at in his career now. I don't really think he should fight again, because he will never be the same Billy Joe that he was. Like, the Canelo was his last big hurrah, and it didn't work out, even though I thought he was actually winning until he got stopped. But he won't be the same. And Eubank's too hungry now. He's too, like, even though Billy Joe has all the boxing potentials that are so much better than Eubank, he won't beat Eubank now. And that I will strongly stand by that Eubank will probably batter him if they fought again. And as far as Golovkin goes, I still think it's a very dangerous fight, but I just don't think Golovkin's looked good for a long, long time. And I just think, again, it's it's just right timing, even though there is a massive chance that Golovkin could just spark him out. But Eubank's shown that he's got not only has he got a great chin now, but he's also learned to like ride shots at the right time and so on and so forth. And I just think it's right timing. I just think Golovkin's like mid to late 30s now. I think he's pushing 40 now.
He's 38, yeah. I think
he's pushing 40. He's had a lot of hard fights, especially both the Canelo fights. And I don't think since the second Canelo fight, I don't think he's looked good at all. Like, there's some questionable, wins that he's had that he potentially could have lost to like such people like Jacobs. I think that Ukrainian fella or Russian fella give him a really hard time as well. So, Golovkin's on the down and he's proper slowed down. So I think both of them fights now, I think Eubank wins both of them.
I think Eubank knows that as well. I think he knows that if he takes them fight, it's good timing. But I don't know if you see, about a month after Billy Joe lost to Canelo, one of the IFL TV guys went out to wherever he was. Yeah, and you could see in that interview there and then, he said it himself. He said, unless it's a fight that gets me like, I want this, a bit like what Khan and Brook are doing now. I'm not going to fight, but if the big fight comes, is Eubank that fight for him though? Because I agree with you. I don't think we should see him again. But I think if he goes on Instagram or Twitter or whatever and he sees Eubank chatting a load of rubbish, because he can fight again. Do you know what I mean? I think he'll just bring MTK up and go, look, make the fight. I want to shut him up. And that will be wrong, because he'll rubbish the first fight, because I think he won that first fight quite comfortably.
I don't understand when people are like, oh, it was a close one. I watched it again the other day because it was on in my gym. Eubank won 3 rounds, maybe 4 if you're generous. It was not a close fight at all. And the only rounds he won were like 10, 11, 12. Maybe you could give him like 9 as well, as I said, if he was being generous. And that's because Billy Joe really just gassed out towards the end. It weren't a close fight at all.
It's funny you say that, because I watched an interview with Brendan Ingle today, and he was talking about, like, they were talking about Liam Williams, how the split was, stuff like that. And he said, obviously, look, I've had lots of fighters come and go. He said, we used to only take fighters from the start of their career. He said, but you look at Billy Joe. When Billy Joe fought Eubank, he said he was only at 50% fitness. He said, so he knew going into that ring, he had to win the first 6 rounds, because, like you just said, he would gas out because of Eubank's work rate. So I agree. I only give Eubank the last 3. I had Billy Joe winning the first 7 comfortably, and then it was tight after that. But the last 3, he lost. But that just shows how special. And it's annoying because Billy Joe isn't that old. How old is Billy Joe? What, 33?
Yeah, something like that.
He could easily, if COVID hadn't have come by, I think he'd have had a few more fights. But I hope he doesn't come back, because I think it will just be not sad, because he wouldn't get battered because he's too good to get battered. But he would just be a shadow, like when he boxed Lemieux. Do you remember that fight?
Yeah.
Possibly the greatest performance I've watched in boxing wise. He was incredible that night. Like, everyone was saying he was going to lose. This is the fight that he gets found out, and it was just crazy. But again, with what you said there about Eubank's chin, I can't recall Liam Williams landing a big shot last night, and that's credit to Roy Jones as well as Eubank, because he knew that he was going to come in left hand over the top right, and he didn't catch him. So there's also Is it Murata? I don't know of him. I think he's a WBA champion.
Yeah.
What do you think of that one with Eubank, that fight?
Again, I don't really know much about him. Is he that young Mexican fella?
I think so. I'm not sure. Coogan said to him about Murata, and he said, I'll fight Murata or GGG. That's what he said in the interview. And then they obviously mentioned Billy Joe, and he just kind of said, I'll beat him now, I'll beat him then. And then obviously they mentioned your mate Conor Benn.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even tell you about that, Murata. I don't even think I know if I'm talking about the right guy. But the Conor Benn thing, mate, it's just one of them stupid things that's going to get so much publicity, and it's just so stupid because it's never going to happen. One, Conor Benn is never, ever, ever, ever going to take that fight. Plus, Eddie Hearn is never, ever, ever, ever going to let him take that fight. And one, is just stupid because Chris Eubank's way, way, way too big for him. So it doesn't matter how good Conor Benn is. Eubank's just too big, too strong. So for him to put that tweet out, stupid, knowing full well that it's never going to happen. And for everyone to give it such publicity is just stupid because it's never going to happen. It's just one of them things that really gets on my nerves is when things get so much publicity that are just never going to happen. And the second I saw it, I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's just stupid. So, like, yeah, like, that's my, like, 2 pence on it.
Even Chris said, Eubank, I'm saying like I know him, Chris. Eubank said in the change room, they asked him about it, and he was like, what's this? And like they passed him the phone, and he was like, okay, that would be a huge fight. He said, you imagine the whole world would stop and watch that fight just because of the names, Benn versus Eubank Jr. He said, but unless he's willing to come to middleweight, that isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
He said, maybe in 3 years' time when I've won what I need to win, and I can afford in my last fight to go down to maybe light middle and him come up. Do you know what I mean? It might happen. But again, I'd love to see it, but it ain't going to happen. I think how old's Conor Benn? 24 or something like that?
Yeah, young.
And Eubank's 32. If they were both at 32, then potentially you could sit there and say, that might happen. But no, I don't think it will happen. It might be a last payday for them both. But again, there's 10 years difference in the ages, or 9 years. It just is ridiculous. And imagine trying to negotiate with Eubank for that fight. He would want everything in his favour, and Benn would want the same. And they'd probably have their dads in the corners, and it'd be an exhibition more than anything. Talking of exhibitions, I don't know what you thought about this, and it's a random one to talk about. Before that main event last night, they had a live music performance.
What did I say?
What on earth was that all? Did you not see it? It was like some.
Oh, no, yeah, I did. Yes, no, yeah. What with Hey, what was it?
Phil Jones or someone. Delilah
or something. Yeah.
Like I don't know. I know it's a big Welsh song, but I don't know. But what I think about Boxer, I mean, they started off all right, but granted their shows were good. But like I said to you and Ryan the other night, I think the only reason they've got these fights in February is because they've been cancelled for various different reasons. Josh Taylor was meant to be in December. Khan Brook was meant to be in January, but I just don't enjoy the shows as much. Like the Voltero advert does my absolute head in. That's on every 30 seconds. You know what I mean? In between rounds, I don't know. I think he's obviously got an idea about it, and he's got a great platform, that Ben Shalom. But I'm not a fan of the production, shall we say?
Yeah, like it's all right. I don't really mind it, but I've always said I just think the small hall shows are always better than the bigger ones because there's no delays and that there's no like bullshit adverts. It's just one fight happens and then the next fight straight in the ring straight after. And at the end of the day, that's what the people want to see. But when you're at one of these big shows, like you're not even watching like the adverts and stuff on the telly. You're just like the fight comes in, they go out, and then it's like you're there for like 15, 20, sometimes even like half an hour, just, you know, doing nothing. Like you can't see the interviews that are on that everyone's seeing on telly. You can't see the Sky pundits talking about the next fight. You can't see you can't see nothing. So they do become quite boring. So like sometimes when you're at home, it's kind of they're kind of better when you're at home because you can just kind of do what you want. You can go to the fridge, get a snack, like the stuff to do at home that takes your mind off it. But I think
go on.
no, I think Box are in the right step. Like obviously they haven't really got the names yet. Like I think their biggest name is Chris Eubank, and then they've got a couple other ones.
They've got Josh Taylor.
Yeah, but again, Eubank is a bigger name than Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor's done more, achieved more, and is, in my opinion, is leaps and bounds above Chris Eubank. But Eubank is a bigger name because of who his dad is and so on. So Eubank is their biggest name on paper. And obviously they're kind of new to the whole fit. They're not new, but they are new. Do you know what I mean? They've rebranded themselves as Wasserman, so Wasserman is new to the sport. So I think and especially having the Sky platform is going to do a lot for them. So give them time, and I think they're going to be like one of the best around. I mean, they kind of really are one of the best around. They've got the Sky platform, so but just give them time. I think to just take the baby steps, and they get there eventually.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, on that basis, then you're right. Eubank is a bigger name than Josh Taylor at the minute because of his name. Would you say Conor Benn's a bigger name than Josh Taylor?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
that's fucked up, isn't it? That's ridiculous.
It is.
So, where does Williams move now? Then, what happens with Liam Williams? He's 29 years old. He's lost his last 2 fights. He's been dropped in the first round of both fights. Hasn't really looked great in both fights. He's looked all right. He's shown heart more than anything. What's next for him?
I don't really know, maybe he's got to go back down, hasn't he? He's going to have to take a big step away from like world level. Like you're looking at probably going back down to like British level. So it's really just down to him if he wants to take that step down and rebuild himself or not. But I don't know, like once you get to that high level and you've been there for a while and you get the title, you get that taste for the world title and you get that taste for big fights and big nights and headlining shows and so on, it's hard to go back down to like British level and stuff and fight people that you're way better than and rebuild yourself and rebrand yourself. So it's really hard to say what's next for him. And even if he wants to continue, really.
That's the thing. Like we spoke about the middleweights last week when we spoke about this fight. You got Linus Udofia versus Denzel Bentley for the British. He's not going to fight either of them. No disrespect to them guys, because you're friends with Linus. I obviously not know Denzel, but I'm a fan of Denzel. But you're not going to get Liam Williams. You're not going to say, look, last week you fought Eubank. The week before you fought Andrade. Next week you're fighting Felix Cash. Do you know what I mean? It just won't happen. Could he be used as a Derek Chisora of the middleweight? So could he be that gatekeeper that you're going to get a brawl with? Will Williams want that?
I don't think he will, because I think he's too good and too dangerous to be used like that at this stage. I think maybe if he was a bit older, but I don't think he'd be used as a gatekeeper because he carries way too much power, and he is a very good boxer and he's got a lot of heart. And I know he got stopped once on a cut, but technically he's never been stopped either. So I don't think that, unless you're a real talent, I don't see like the promoters putting them in with Liam Williams. He's far too good for that at the moment. Even still now, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think a good step for him to take. I don't know if he's still with Warren, but I think a good step for him to take would go back for the EBU. He's never won that, I don't think. Win that European title, then take that next. So go back to that, and then come back and take another Eubank style fight. That's just like an eliminator. And work your way, wait until the summer, because he has had his problems in his career as well. I don't know the exact injury it was, but he had to have a medical and he was told not to box again. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
Yeah, and he got a second opinion. He paid for a second opinion, and they basically said, no, it should be fine. I think it's something to do with his head, because obviously he's got that, he's got a tick, hasn't he?
Yeah.
In his eyes. And someone said to me last night, oh, he's fucked. Look, he's blinking all over. And I was like, no, he's got a tick. Like he blinks really heavy, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. But talking of his eye, that eye injury was nasty. Have you seen anything on his Instagram today of his eye?
No, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, well, from like the third round, he had a massive lump come up under his right eye.
Oh, really?
And if you go on his Instagram, he put something up on his story. It's like a picture and swipped it, and I think he 7-balled his missus at snooker.
Yeah.
And it's like it's out here. Yeah, it's his whole eye shut, and it's all like the eyelid and the bottom eyelid is right out, and it's just like purple.
Oh, fucking hell.
But I thought that's why I thought he might have got pulled last night after about 6 rounds, because the way that come up after 2 or 3 rounds, it didn't look good. Didn't look good at all.
Oh,
But yeah, I hope you don't retire, because he is entertaining. I think he needs to chill out a bit more. I think he lets his emotions go. You know, even when he got in the ring, I know he's in front of his own fans, but he's like running up to the ropes and doing like a Batista style thing, like shaking them and then like pumping the crowd. Do you know what I mean? Just think like, mate, get in the ring, chill out. You've done you've said all you've got to say. You've come face to face. Now it's time to fight. Just switch off or switch on even. Turn that anger off. You need to have an element of anger. Do you know what I mean? You can't go in there and love the guy, because otherwise you're going to end up just slapping him.
Yeah.
And then just I don't know, but I think he gets too rallied up, and I think he needs to calm that down. And I thought maybe Adam Booth would do that, because he's probably the calmest bloke in boxing, unless he's with Derek Chisora and David Haye. But he's I don't want to see him retire, but then I don't want to see him get beaten up again, because you know he's just had a little boy as well, don't forget. So maybe he's just going to say, you know what, I've had 2 big fights, or 4 big fights, but 2 in a row. I've earned my money. I'm not even 30 yet. Let's get out of it while I can.
Yeah, probably. Sometimes it's a smart thing to do as well, because he's in loads of wars, pretty much every fight, and it takes its toll on you, man. Believe it or not, but like it does take a big toll on you. Like it affects everything, not just your performances. Sometimes it affects your like health, everything. So yeah, like maybe it is time to call it a day, but at the same time, that he probably does still have big fights and big nights like on the horizon for him. So I mean, only time will really tell what's next for him.
I think promoters are going to look at him and see his character, and they're going to use that. Do you know what I mean? Imagine him over in America against one of their big Americans. He would rock that place upside down, because he would call him every name under the sun, and he just don't give a shit. So let's just see. Like you say, time will tell. Talking of time, you're now what, a month out, 5 weeks out?
Yeah, 5 weeks out. Yeah.
Right into the nitty gritty.
It is, mate. Time's flying, mate. Time is flying.
What did you do today? You went for a run, you said.
Yeah. I did 4 miles. I did that in 26 minutes, and then I just did like a couple sprints. I did like short sprints, like 50 meters or something, and I did like 7 of them. And then that was just my Sunday. It was pretty like the weekend's not that difficult. It's normally like Monday to Friday you really go in, and then on the Saturday you just do like a kind of just like a hard run, and then add some sprints onto it, and then you just chill out normally. So I chilled out on the Saturday and did the run today, and then we got another hard week ahead of us.
What you got tomorrow? You sparring tomorrow?
Nah, it would just be like a hard day, like, you know, like pads, bag, shadow, circuit, all that kind of stuff. So, and I might go for a run again later on in the day. That'd be my Monday.
I don't envy it, honestly. It must be like now. It must be like the right nitty gritty, getting everything bang on, making sure you're fit. Are you on weight? Are you looking good? You know, I know you don't struggle with weight, but are you there and thereabouts?
Yeah. I'm like 56 kilo at the moment. So 5 weeks, and I think it's like 4 kilos to lose in 5 weeks. So yeah, it's going good. Can't complain.
I did see a funny video. I think Terry put it on her Instagram of you running the other night, and there was some like guy running in front of you, or he was walking, one or the other. What is he doing? Why is he there with you? I see you just bolt past him, and like you kind of brushed him as you went past, if to say, mate, fucking get out of my way, will you? I bet you had the right hump.
Mate, I swear to God, you see that track? Yeah, I've never known so many cunts to be in one place at the same time, right? Because it obviously, like, most tracks are open, yeah, but this is just like, it's like a proper open track. Like, it's just in the mid, there's a field next to it. Like, you don't have to pay to go in. It's just completely to the public to use. So you don't get like proper people going there to actually work out. And I can't, some people that go there, I can't get it through my head why they're there. Like, you get people that, like, old people and groups of women that will just go there with a coffee and just walk around. And and when I'm running, I'm just like, what are you doing? There's a fucking street right there that you can walk on, and there's a field over there that you can walk on. So why are you here? And then you get people like teaching their kids how to ride the bikes on the track, and then there's always one dick that goes the other way to everyone else, like running the other way. Mate, it really, really gets to me, and I bitch and moan to it about Terry all the time. I just can't get it through my head why people go there. And like half the time when I go, I'm the only one that's on the track running. Like, and I just mate, I really, really can't get it through my head. Like, that's why I go now. I go at like 5 o'clock because that's when it starts to get dark and there's just less people there that I have to deal with. So yeah, it's just proper annoying, mate. It really is.
Yeah, especially as you say, you do, what is it, 800-meter runs, sprints?
Yeah.
And you're tired, you're getting angry, and then you get someone with a fucking cappuccino walking in your way. Is it an actual running track as well? Is it like the clay material?
Yeah, that's what I mean, because it's just like a shitty little open one. It's just concrete. So like it's just literally like you don't have to pay to use it. You can just go anytime. Like, so you know what I mean? That's why you get so many people there just taking the piss.
It's like going for a picnic and putting your bench in the middle of a football pitch.
Yeah.
I just
don't get it, mate. I really don't.
Oh Lord. Well, you come face to face last week with your opponent, didn't you? Over on Tom's podcast.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
How did that go? I had a watch of it.
Yeah, it was interesting, mate. Like, I don't think Tom's put it up yet because he's just saving it for when he goes away. He wants to have like where he's not going to be doing interviews and stuff. He wants like material to be posted when he goes away. So I think it's coming sometime like this week. But yeah, like it was good. Like I was trying to sell the fight a little bit where Paul Roberts, he's a bit really calm, chilled out kind of guy. And I thought I could kind of get him going with certain things that I said, but he was just very like
didn't bite.
Yeah, just didn't really bite. Like like sometimes you just got to sell the fight, innit? Like for people to enjoy. And he was just like, nah, not for me, like kind of thing. But
do you think he's been told to sell tickets that though? Do you think he's got to do what you've got to do in this fight, or because he's the away fighter, he can literally just turn up and lose?
Oh yeah, he can just trade. He doesn't need to sell tickets. Like he's getting a purse. I mean, he can sell tickets to obviously earn more money from the fight, but he doesn't actually have to sell one ticket if he doesn't want to. But
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is crazy.
I mean, I made my point. Tom went live the other day and he asked, like, I got a thing up, request to join. Tom has requested you to join. He just said to me, how do you think it happened? I said, oh, Punk is going to fuck him up.
Yeah.
And I got like 2 messages like, you shouldn't be saying that. You shouldn't say that. And I was just like, well, why? Like, it's not like I'm best friends with them both. You know what I mean? I'm friends with Jack. I don't know Paul Roberts. Like, you know, and that's just how it is. If it's the same as if like Ryan was fighting, someone asked you to say, yeah, he's going to fucking win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's got like a golden ticket type thing then, isn't he? If he's got to sell no tickets, you know, like, he's got it easy. Because if he puts in a good performance, he ain't going to win. But if he puts in a good performance, no disrespect to him, I don't think he does win. But if he puts it, he's got potentially a sign in there for, I don't know if he's managed, but he's not with Steve, is he?
No, Mo Pryor.
Oh, okay, so he's already managed. So
yeah,
that's just crazy. But how do you think that fight goes? I know you spoke about on Tom's thing.
Yeah, I generally think I stop him late on. I think I just put it on him from the start to finish. I think I set a pace that he's not going to keep up with, and then I think come round 8, when it starts getting hard for him, I think I just put him out of his misery pretty much.
Fingers crossed, mate. I hope you do. It's not long at all now. Literally, like we said, 5 weeks. That's gone so quick.
Yeah.
It feels like literally last week we were at York Hall in November. Yeah. And that's what? How long ago is that? That's 10 weeks ago? Yeah, about 10 weeks ago. And now we're 5 weeks out. That's just mad. How are the ticket sales going?
Yeah, good. I worked out today. I've done over 20, but they don't normally start flooding in until like the last month. So, you know, I'll probably end up doing a couple more, but when it hits like, you know, like payday, the 25th and the 27th, when most people get paid, that's when the last probably like 40, 50, 60 people will just come in and just like grab all their tickets. So yeah, so at the moment it's going well. and I'm sure come the end of Feb it will go even better.
But yeah, I'll be getting mine off you in 2 weeks. I'll come and grab it. But yeah, mate, have you got anything else you want to talk about? Anything more you want to tell them who we've got coming on later in the week?
Yeah, I think that's about it, mate. Obviously, we've got some guests coming on. I think Poochie is going to be our next one. In my opinion, the best journeyman in Britain, in my opinion. Yeah. And then we'll probably just get other couple people on like that me and you both know, like Mark Little, to talk about his fight and so on. But yeah, I think today was just really just to talk about the Eubank card and so on and so forth, and we've covered that. So yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, all good, mate. Enjoyed it. And yeah, I think it's Thursday, so we'll probably get that out Friday. I'll put this out. I mean, I can do it tonight if you want, or we'll do it tomorrow. It's up to you.
Yeah, put it out tonight if you want, mate. Why not?
All right, cool. But yeah, thank you, mate. Enjoyed it again, and we shall speak soon.
Sweet. Peace.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.